Okay, welcome. This is James Possible, and in this video, I'm going to talk about fake money, the deception that has been going on for quite some time, and how things are heating up in the financial crisis that is in process at this point. So, whether you call it a recession, a depression, financial crisis, it's happening globally, and it's real. The COVID-19 virus has revealed many of the flaws that are currently existing today in our financial and monetary systems, things that they've been hiding. It has revealed, however, they are now blaming all of this struggle, these financial challenges, on the COVID-19 virus, and in fact, that's not the truth. So let's jump in here, and let's talk about this. First of all, what's important to understand is that either illusions are hiding the truth. It's very, very real. The way our monetary system, and this is not unique to the United States, but the way our monetary system is currently set up, they are hiding the truth. They aren't showing us everything. They aren't telling us everything. And I'm going to break that down for you. So what is not being shared? That's what I want to talk about. Like it's locked away in a safe. But I promise you, more people than you think know what is being hidden from the masses, from the people. The truth that isn't being told. They want to keep it a secret. And finally, over the last few years, this secret has started to make its way out. It's started to become known. And yeah, it's horrible. So when it comes to money, if you don't know the rules, and this is really the crux of the whole thing, right? We're taught to go to school, get an education, get a job, a good job, a safe job, a job with benefits, and yada 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 yada, right? And the reality is that most people, like the majority, are getting to the end of their life, well, not the end, but to a place in their life where they want to slow down, take it easy, retire, and maybe travel, do things that they couldn't do when they were working 40, 60 hours a week, and maybe didn't even have time for their family. And what they're finding is that their plans are falling way short because their needs financially are much greater now than they were 30, 40, 50 years ago. And this is what we have to understand. Why is that? What makes that happen? And there is a very specific reason for that. So if you don't know the rules, it will be difficult for you to get ahead. If you don't understand the rules and take the proper steps to protect your finances, your money, your financial future is not looking very good. Your quality of life will go down and down and down, lower and lower and lower. It's inevitable if you don't understand the rules. Almost impossible, right? I mean, if you don't really understand what has been built into our monetary system. In other words, this is how our system is built. It's effortless for the governments, politicians, and the banks, the big banks, to do what they do. Effortless. So let's talk about the tools of the powerful. And by the powerful, I mean the government, the politicians, and the big banks, the central banks. Let's talk about the tools of the powerful, their tools. Distraction. Distraction is a huge thing, right? So if we can keep the masses distracted, then we don't have to worry. Hang on a second here, guys. If we can keep the masses distracted, they'll never notice the truth. They'll never understand the truth. They may experience and feel like something's happening, but distraction will keep you from seeing the truth. Propaganda. And one more moment on the distraction. How does a masterful magician work? They work on distraction, right? Because they know the eyes are easily tricked. And so they are masters at distracting while they do what they do. So propaganda. Propaganda is something that has changed, greatly. In the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s, propaganda, government propaganda, was so obvious. It was so simple. I mean, you knew what was happening. Today, they are so much more sophisticated, and it's like a drip, 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 drip. They keep feeding us information. They keep doing things, creating distraction, creating drama, and all of it is to change your perspective of what is happening, to change your focus, to, maybe even to give you a sense that it's out of your control. Money. Money is absolutely one of their tools, because they use their money, their abundance of money, to protect the money that they have. That's the ultimate goal here, right? Get more money, protect what money I have. Protect what money I have, get more money. And it doesn't matter whose expense it is at, just as long as I have the money. Position. They use their position of power, right? Government, politicians. Think about this. We've had politicians in office for decades. That's crazy. And it's a corrupt system. How powerful is somebody who has been in office for 4 decades? Really think about that. It's scary. Big banks have positioned themselves in the middle of all of this. The Federal Reserve, I didn't mention them earlier. All of this plays together to work against you and I, to conspire against you and I. And it's baked in. It's in the system. You don't just take it out. It's part of the system. Time. And this is enormous here. When I say drip, 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 I'm talking about dripping over decades. Over 100 years in the U.S., in the United States, for well over 100 years. we have been living with a system that has slowly and steadily taken money from its people. I think in the 70s, 60s, it was pretty typical to have a one-income family, and that one income could support a family. One of the spouse, typically back then it would be the wife, would work from home, right, taking care of the children and all the family needs. And that was very possible back then. In today's world, it's difficult for two incomes to support a family. And most two-income, many, I don't want to say most, but many two-income families even have side gigs to make extra money. So that just tells you the difference. Things have changed for you and I as a people, right? Our quality of life, the struggle in our life, a financial struggle has changed. It has grown from where it was to where it is today. And that's time. That's the system. And a system working over time against you and I. So I think the biggest tool they have today is divide and conquer. We are such a divided people, and we are divided by racial tension. We are divided by position. We are divided by education, divided by location. It's sad. It's tragic, but they use this division. We are divided by religion. We are divided by political choice. All these things are being used against us. So we no longer have this united feel, this united community. We are very, very separate. And the amazing thing is that we are more alike than we are different. Yet these little bitty differences are being used against us. Remember, distraction, right? They are distracting us from what is happening. Knowledge is power. And they don't want you to understand that, because if you understand it, if enough people understand this, at some point, we're going to push for change. And they don't want that. They don't play fair. They absolutely do not play fair. They use their position to their advantage. They use their influence to their advantage. Central banks, which is the Federal Reserve, in our case in the United States, the government, the politicians, and Federal Reserve, politicians, governments, and the banks. Did I say central banks? Yeah, okay. Seems like I missed something, but anyways, they don't play fair. And what they will do is change the rules, because they can. If it's not working to their benefit, if they're losing their edge, if they're losing their advantage, they will change the rules, because they can. It's just that simple. But the underlying system doesn't change. It still does what it does. It's done what it does for well over 100 years. So think about it like this. It's your life, in your purse where you keep your cash, in your wallet where you keep your cash, under your bed, and buried in a can in the backyard, in a deposit, in an IRA, in a money market account, in your stock account. your equity account. No matter where you are keeping your money, it's based on cash, on the US dollar in our case, right? It's based on currency, fiat currency. And because all of these places of where we hold and attempt to save our money, because they are this fiat currency, a product of our monetary system, by design, they are losing value every single day. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It doesn't matter where you put your money. When I say money, it's just to be clear what I'm talking about. Right? We're talking about money. Hang on here. Put this at an angle here. Right? Get this at the angle, right? Money, right? Our paper money. Okay? When I'm talking about all this, that's what I'm talking about. This is fiat currency. This is a Federal Reserve. I don't know if I can show you. Can you see that? It's a Federal Reserve note. What does that mean? That means this dollar bill represents a dollar that is owed to the Federal Reserve. It's not a dollar of value for me. It's a dollar that is actually owed to the Federal Reserve. It's, if you will, think about it like a car loan. And this is a payment slip. This is saying, I owe the Fed $1. It's crazy, right? But it's real. That's what it is. All cash money like this is debt. It's not an asset. This is not an asset. And it's so important that you understand that. You can't save enough of this to protect your financial future. You just can't. That's the crime scene. The crime scene you don't see. It's invisible. And that is by design in the system. Gold, 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 right? Gold is how you protect yourself. Each one of these has a gold ingot in it. A gold ingot. I don't know if I can show you that. Yeah. See that little rectangle there? Yeah. It kind of disappears when it goes black. That's a gold ingot. A piece of real gold. 24.99999. It's currency grade gold. What is this? I don't know if I can show this very well. That gold kind of goes away. That's a gold coin, right? Not gold bullion, it's a gold coin. It holds its value because it's gold. This does not. So back to this crime scene. We're talking about your money. You have to understand what your money really is. They are taking your money. And that's how they're doing it, through this. Because of what this is because this is a reserve note. It is an IOU. That's the tool, or how do I say it? That's the engine that is churning and taking money away from you and I. The debt that pays off this, that pays the Federal Reserve for the interest on this debt, comes from the tax dollars that you and I pay, income tax. They are taking your money, and you don't even know it. Only you can protect your money. And to be clear, if you don't know this is happening, then it's just going to keep happening. And you're here, so I'm really, it's like kind of shaking you, wanting to shake you a little bit. And I know that doesn't always feel good or helpful. But if that's what it takes to wake you up, if you don't know this information, then I want to do that. I want to say, wake up. How do we say today? Be woke, right? If you're not woke, your financial future is going to be miserable. Doesn't matter how much you have today. And I can promise you, with the financial crisis the way it's happening today, at the rate that it's happening, if you start holding money cash today, if you start saving a lot of this today, in 2 years' time, probably much less than that, it'll be worth so much less than it is. But if you're holding this, you're holding gold, you're ahead of the game. I'm gonna show you how much the people in power know this. The people in positions understand this. This is not a secret. It's not a secret to the government. It's not a secret to politicians. It's not a secret to the Federal Reserve. It's not a secret to the big banks. Why is that? Because they're all involved in keeping this machine working. They all have a role in this machine working. Alan Greenspan, former chair of the Federal Reserve, the number one problem in today's generation and economy is the lack of financial literacy. How much did they teach you about money in school? Think about that. Our basic education within the United States, and I don't know if it's true in other countries, I'm sure it is for many, doesn't even teach us about the system, the monetary system that we live with, how it works. They don't teach us that. They don't teach us how to protect our money, how to protect our financial freedom, how to protect our future, our financial future. Schools don't do that. It's tragic. The closest they came to that back in the day was there used to be home economics, right? Where you learn to cook, balance your account and all. You know what? Even that's gone today. It's really sad. So the average person today probably doesn't know how to balance their account, their books, their checking account. We're not producing smarter people from our general education. We're dumbing down our education. And it's tragic. Yes, there are some that excel, but they're not the majority. Ignorance works to the benefit of those who are in power. This is someone I find this thought very, very arrogant and selfish and divisive. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. John D. Rockefeller. Now think about that. A nation, millions of people, and one man, because of his business and his enterprise, is more concerned about having workers than he is thinkers. And if you don't think he used his money to support that desire, you need to think again. Those in power with money actually created our system of education. Do some research. You'll be surprised at what you learn. Okay, J.P. Morgan. This is a brilliant, J.P. Morgan and Chase, the bank, the big global bank, the one, the huge, ginormous bank. If you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. Well, maybe not all of us, but many of us have heard this more than once in our life. I know it's something that I've heard so many times. I probably couldn't even count how many times I've heard this saying. And the truth of it, it's so real. Yet we live in a system today that says you can't afford it, that's okay. If you can make payments in the future, what we can do is let you have it today. So whatever it is you want that you can't afford, let us help you get it today. And then in exchange for that, you can pay us smaller amounts of money over time. Who do you think, where do you think the greatest advantage is in doing that? Is it to the person who is lending you money, or is it to you getting what you want today? When you borrow money, you become a slave to the lender. Just think about that. When you borrow money, I don't care what it is, you become a slave to the lender. And the irony today is that we are judged not on who we are, but we are judged by our credit score. Think about that. What does that mean? Why is that so important? Does that work to your advantage or against you? Ron Paul, the Federal Reserve and Congress have systematically taught the American people to trust the government and that caution in spending is harmful to the economy. Again, drip, drip propaganda. Propaganda has become more and more divisive, and not only divisive, but it is far more sophisticated and far less noticeable than it used to be. Just think about these commercials today that sometimes you're watching the commercial and you're wondering, okay, what were they really selling a product? No, they're selling a thought. They're selling a mindset. They're telling you how to think. They're selling you an experience, an emotion, a distraction. Because once you take in that, once you adopt and begin to act in that way as a consumer, selling the product is easy. It's not even a challenge. Once we get your mindset right, your emotion right, selling you the product is easy. Because then it becomes a habit. A habit you don't even think about. The government absolutely wants you to trust them 100%. How do you feel about politics today? Think about that. Don't you feel twisted? Why are people so afraid today to talk about politics? Think about that. It's hard to have a conversation about politics without becoming emotional. Right? Why is it? Why are we so divided over politics? Because people know somewhere in their gut, in their heart, somewhere, they know something's not right. Something's not working like it's supposed to work. So trust the government. Trust the government. We're here for you. But We don't want you to have health coverage. We don't want you to have Social Security. And hell, maybe we don't even need Medicare. Think about that. And some of you may feel different, then that's fine. I don't really care. The point is, the divisiveness is in the trust that they want you to have, the blind trust they want you to have in the government. And then on top of that, for years, easily well over a decade or two, they have started a campaign, they have initiated a campaign of support you as a consumer, me as a consumer. Spending our money builds our economy. Spending your money builds our economy. Not saving, not protecting your financial future, but spending your money builds the economy. And how does Ron Paul say it? Not purchasing product from stores, goods and services. Not doing that hurts our economy. Really think about that. Who is the one that ultimately benefits from this? Henry Ford. We all know, well, most of us know Henry Ford from history. The Model T, he was the beginning of the automobile. Well, the mass-produced automobile. The object of education is not to fill a man's mind, and I'll say a man's or woman's mind, right? With facts. Although, think about so many game shows we have. What do the game shows teach you and I? Facts. It's always about knowing the little pieces of information. Instead, education is to teach him or her how to use their mind in thinking. The better quality educational institutions, the ones that are best, promote thought, critical thought. They do. They encourage you to think beyond what you're being told. We don't have enough of that today. And our general education, before we get to what is higher education, is seriously flawed and falls infinitely short of achieving this thing of creating thinkers. Instead, it's creating drones. People who don't ask questions. People who just do as they are told. Ben Bernanke, the Federal Reserve has never suffered any losses in the course of its normal lending to banks and now to primary dealers. What business that exists today could exist, without fear of loss? Is there such a business? No. I mean, think about that today. So with everything that's happening today, financially, with the COVID-19 virus, just think about this, right? Because who has their hand out? The airlines, Boeing, all the biggest of companies, right? Saying they desperately need an infusion of cash. Huge companies, companies that we are taught to look up to, names, household names that we are told to trust, taught to trust, can't even handle a month or two in decline or loss of revenue. Think about that. Really think about that. And yet, we're being told by being evaluated on our credit scores, we're being told as a consumer that we have to be more responsible in these big companies. Think about that. But yet they want us to trust the government and to spend every dime that we have. But somehow we're supposed to be more responsible in how we handle our money than the people who are making the rules. I don't know. Something's wrong with that. And there's something wrong with a business that is built in, that is a part of our monetary system as a nation, and it's true in other countries. That is a separate entity. It is not part of the government, the Federal Reserve. There's something wrong if there is no threat of loss to this entity. If they have no fear of loss. Must be nice, right? Think about that. Thomas Jefferson. So this is where we are now. In 1913 was the Federal Reserve Act was created. It was established. Okay, well, our country, 1776, right? That's a few years, 1776, 1913. So let's just think about that, right? That, you get the difference. Thomas Jefferson, the beginning. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Thomas Jefferson is saying he would rather face an army of opposition than he would to create and build and support banking institutions, to depend on banking institutions for his financial freedom. Our forefathers, like so many people, I know there are so many, because of the divisiveness and the manipulation and the distraction of mainstream media and the government and the politicians, there are so many that do have, that want to challenge our Constitution and things like that. But you know what? There's something they did absolutely brilliant. They understood money. And they understood what it meant to leave the power of money in the hands of the people. Today, the power of money is not in the hands of people. It's in the hands of banking institutions. It's in the hands of the government. It's in the hands of the politicians. It's in the hands of the Federal Reserve, which we call it a central bank, but it's not even a solvent business, yet it somehow has a profit. It doesn't even hold a balance, yet somehow it makes money. Ronald Reagan, the Federal Reserve is answerable to no one. It answers to no one. So they never have to fear a loss, and the Federal Reserve doesn't have to answer to anybody. Just think about that. Wow. Mind-blowing, right? Yet they influence our monetary policy. They influence the value of this money. They are a key part to why, if you didn't spend, let's say you had a place to live free, you had all the food you needed, you had no bills, and you were able to work and earn money without anything more than just paying taxes, right? So you have a fair amount of cash. If you did nothing but stack that money up for years, let's say you did it for 10 years, the money you started with, compared to the money you have at the end of 10 years, will be far less, worth far less than it is in 10 years. You will not be ahead. It will look like you're ahead because You have more of this, but the reality is this more of this in 10 years will not buy me what it could today. This works against you. The Federal Reserve knows that. The government knows that. The politician knows that. The banks, the institutional banks know that. Robert Kiyosaki, saying that financial literacy means diversification is just another example of the fox teaching the chicken. So think about that. The fox is a predator to the chicken, right? Because the fox, what does it want to eat? It wants to eat the chicken. So if the fox is going to teach the chicken, it's going to teach the chicken to the advantage of the fox, right? So rather than our education providing us with some form of financial literacy, as I shared, home economics, which used to be a part of our education, that's gone. So we don't even know how the average person doesn't even graduate understanding what money is. It's from a budgetary perspective. So they're not able to balance their books, their checkbook. They don't understand how to spend responsibly, how to save responsibly. None of that's taught. But we are taught, like the second we get into college, our first year in college, we are taught that, hey, you're worthy of credit. So you get all of these credit card offers. So let's think about that. You can't balance your checkbook, but hey, here are some credit cards, money for free. Come on, you could do this. You not having financial literacy, a financial education, financial understanding is going to cost you in your future. If you are at your very best today and you do not understand this and you do not have a financial education, a clear understanding of what is happening to you financially, this is the peak for you. This is as good as it's going to get financially. I want to make that clear. If this is all you're living on and you're at the peak of your professional life, your work life, it's downhill from here. It doesn't matter how much of this you save. It's downhill. Because everything you're holding is losing value. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's in stocks. I don't. Because it's cash. Money markets. Banks. I don't care where you have it. CDs, IRAs. All of that is based on cash. It's based on our system, our monetary system, and it's designed to lose money because it's debt. Gold, there, can I get some of those in there? Yeah. Gold, on the other hand, does what? It preserves your wealth. So many people see that's one of the distractions. We're taught you need to invest. You need to put $25, $50 a month aside. You got to invest, right? You got to let it build. Well, we're at negative rates right now. Even if you could get 1% or 2% on your money over a year, you're not keeping up with inflation. Inflation is a product of our monetary system. It's man-made. Wow, I don't want to get into detail on that right now, but inflation is man-made. The government, the Federal Reserve, the politicians, and the bank institutions make inflation a reality by the way they handle our money, by the way they create and manipulate our money, your money, our financial future, your financial future, mine, our financial freedom. You think having $1 million is great today? Let's talk about this in a year or two. That $1 million isn't going to be worth much of anything a year from now or 2 years from now. I promise you. We are quickly coming to a point where something has to change. Alan Greenspan, again, former chair of the Federal Reserve, so he intimately knows the workings of the Federal Reserve, the government, and the banking institutions. I consider income equality the most dangerous part of what's going on in the United States. Income equality, the most dangerous part of what's going on in the United States. And it's not just here. It's every other country that has a monetary system that is similar to ours. And right now, last I checked, 100% of the countries have a system of debt as a monetary system. And what comes out of that is the few will continue, their assets, their wealth will grow and grow and grow and grow because they are taking it from you, while the value of your money continues to drop and drop. So as their wealth grows, their control grows, your income drops, your worth drops, and this separation, this inequality just grows and grows and grows. It's a cycle of debt. This is about debt. Our cash, our money, our currency is about debt. When I hold gold in my hand, there is no debt. There is nobody I owe money to when I hold gold. It simply has value. This is money that's owed to the Federal Reserve. It says the United States of America, but it's money the United States of America owes to the Federal Reserves. You and I, as citizens of the United States of America, our tax dollars, what we pay in tax dollars, is used to pay for the interest on this loan from the Federal Reserve. We as a nation are indebted to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the lender to the United States of America. Wow, think about that. A lender that never has to worry or be concerned about losing money. Over time, the money you save, I've said it over and over again, will be worth less and less. And I know this has been a long video, but it's important. So if you need to take your time through this, that's fine. It's a lot, but you've got to understand this. The Federal Reserve Act was created or established in 1913. That's when the Federal Reserve became real in the United States. Again, let's go back to Thomas Jefferson, our forefathers, the people that created our nation. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. Banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties, our freedoms as a people, as a nation. 1933, the United States, in its infinite wisdom, made gold illegal. Ownership of gold, they made it illegal. 1944, they put the American dollar on, they made it a gold reserve. Current, a monetary system based on gold. So every dollar became, it was not a Federal Reserve note, it was a certificate, a gold certificate. So it could be exchanged. So if I had a dollar certificate, gold certificate, I could go to the bank and get $1 worth of gold from the bank. If I had a $20 gold certificate, I could go to the bank and get $20 worth of gold. What happened, which has happened so many times in our nation's history, is that, for example, and you know, there's probably way more than that. I'm just saying, as an example, to keep it easy, let's say we had, as a nation, we had $1 million in gold. Easy numbers, right? Simple numbers. What we did, instead of just producing $1 million in money and keeping that in circulation, we started printing more than $1 million. So now we have $1 million worth of gold. We printed over $1 million worth of money. So that money is actually worth less than it was at the beginning. But if nobody knows, then if nobody knows, who cares, right? Nobody, and you know, it's one of those things, nobody will notice. Well, eventually what happened was, and I believe it started with Spain, somebody did the math. And they realized that the cash they were holding, the US dollar, the money they were holding that was the US dollar, was losing value. And it was losing value because more money was being printed than the gold that they had. So what happened was, Spain said, hey, you can have your gold certificate money back and just send us the gold. We no longer want the paper money, we want the gold. And some of the other countries started to follow the example of Spain, right? And suddenly we had a rush on our gold, like having a rush on a bank, right? More and more people were wanting our gold. Well, the United States could not afford to give away its gold, right? That's the strength of the nation, gold. That's the power of gold. It is what preserves wealth. Nations know that. Kings, queens have known that for thousands of years. It's no different today. Every single nation on our globe understands the value of gold, holding and storing gold, accumulating gold. We are no different. So in 1971, our president, Richard Nixon, did what? He took us off the gold standard. No longer was our money going to be backed by gold. So no longer could any foreign country make a claim on our gold. And here we are, back with the Federal Reserve note. Our money has continued to decline. Estimates are that the dollar that was being spent in 1930 today is only worth like 3 cents. So in other words, what you could get for 3 cents in 1913 is about what you could get today. 3 cents. 3 cents. So let's think about that. What does that mean exactly? So that's 33 times more spending power or value in 1913. So what's the best way? I wish I had thought about this part. So let's say this pen is worth 3 cents. Today, I can only get one. In 1913, I could have 33 of these for $1. Today, having $1, I could only get one. 1913, I could have got 33 of these for $1. Today, I can only get one. Holding your money, holding your debt, your cash. This is the story of that. This is what's going to happen. This is why I'm taking so much time. I know this is a long video, but hey, you know what? You've got to understand that. And if someone hasn't made it to the end of this, it's unfortunate, because this will change your life if you can understand this. Paper money is not a store of value. Again, $1 today, one pen at 3 cents, $1 in 1913, 33 of these. It doesn't hold value. But if I had $1 of gold in 1913 and I spent that $1 of gold today, guess what? With that $1 of gold, I could definitely buy 33 pens today, because that $1 of gold is going to be worth way more than the dollar, this paper dollar here, this dollar of debt. That's what we mean by store of value. Special update. Yeah, this is part of the whole COVID-19, the relief package that our government put forward. The first time in our history that they've really began to have a public discussion about a digital dollar, U.S. digital dollar. And I believe, if I have this right, the former CEO of Coinbase is now part of the U.S. government, and he is responsible for making those kind of monetary choices. So you tell me, is America working towards a digital coin or not? A cryptocurrency? Of course they are. Digital coin will be far easier to control than this. It'll be far easier to hide than the paper. So a couple questions. Is America a democracy? Think about that. Is it? How many rights have you, small rights, right? But they add up. In the last decade or two, have you given up because of fear? Do you really have the same freedoms today that someone had 20 years ago in America? And what about when we move to a digital coin? How much freedom are you going to have at that point? We're becoming a surveillance state. Google tracks us everywhere. Somehow nobody has challenged that. Why is that? Do you ever wonder, do you ever ask yourself, how is it that nobody within the government has ever chosen to step forward and say, hey, there's something wrong with one ginormous tech company having access to so much personal and private information? And now we have Facebook, Twitter, and all of these entities. Like Google has publicly admitted that they have a blacklist. Twitter, based on their terms, is restricting certain content. Facebook, same thing. So we now have tech companies who have become our moral compass. So what about your privacy? How much privacy do you have? Again, how much freedom do you have? And who actually has control over your freedom? Is it the government or is it these tech companies? Do you really enjoy the fact that your phone today is not safe? That it's actually being used. Governments are starting to use our mobile phones to track people with COVID-19 virus, those who have tested positive. They are using this tool under the guise of protecting people, yet they are beginning to track people. We already know that phone calls are listened to, that we're being spied on constantly. It's real. Do some research. That's got to concern you. If it doesn't, I don't know. My son is finally starting to say, yeah, I'm not really a fan of this, but it's real. Back to Alan Greenspan, gold is the primary global currency. Gold is the primary global currency. Gold is it. No matter what country you're in, gold, there's somebody there that will happily give you something of value for your gold. Even if it's not used as money, there are people that will gladly exchange their goods and services for your gold. That's even true here in the United States. Gold will always hold more value than paper. And how can I say that? Gresham's Law, I believe, is what it's called. Let me see if I'm going to hang on real quick. I know we're way over time. It is what it is. I really want this stuff to be okay. So Gresham's Law, or Gresham's Law, Gresham's Law says it like this: bad money drives out good money. What does that mean? So today, our coins, like this is a quarter here. This is a quarter, right? This quarter is clad. It doesn't have silver. There's no precious metals in this quarter. If I was to give you a roll of quarters, and within that roll of quarters I was to put one silver quarter, as you were going through your quarter, you would notice that coin, and you would know that it's silver, and you would remove it. So it would no longer stay in circulation. And you can still find silver coins in circulation, but the people that understand what those coins look like, or they understand the dates, right? Pre-64, right? Pre-65, 64 and older are 90% silver. It's really difficult to find those coins in circulation today because most people understand that they're silver. The bad money will be left in circulation. The good money, the silver, will be taken out of circulation. The average person understands the difference between a silver quarter, and I think I have a silver quarter. I think I do. Do I have one? Yes, I do. I don't have many of those, but I do have a couple. This is $1's worth here. Okay. Yeah. So there, that's a silver quarter, and that's a clad. This is a modern clad quarter. Okay. If you were to look at these side by side, you could, I don't know if you could see, but you could easily tell the difference. They feel different, they sound different. And just by looking at the date, because this is a 1935, you would know that it's 1964 or older, so you would know that it's 90% silver. And you would take that coin out of circulation. I've got, what, 4 of those, I guess. People understand that. They understand what's most valuable when it comes to money. Yet we're taught that this is where this is the value. This is what's valuable, and it's not. But this is all we have if we don't understand otherwise. Desperate governments do desperate things. They absolutely do. And we've seen that repeatedly with money. From the 1913 Federal Reserve Act to the 1933, the making the ownership of gold illegal, to 1944, where, well, you know, you could say the gold reserve was actually a positive thing. However, what did they do? They overprinted. They printed more money than they had in gold, right? So, and then moving away from the gold reserve, there again, desperate governments do desperate things. And today, they are printing money at a rate that is just unbelievable. The bailout, the deal right now that's, you know, the COVID-19, the crisis, the relief money that has been passed, it's over $6 trillion. $6 trillion. That's 12 zeros. That's going to greatly reduce the value of your money in the future, in the immediate future. J.P. Morgan, gold is money, everything else is credit. Federal Reserve note, credit, debit, credit. Like I said, this is like a payment on a car note, on a house mortgage. It's debt. Somebody's paying it back, and it's you and I are paying it back. Our labor, our taxes is paying back that debt to the Federal Reserve. That's in 1912. Now think about this. Gold is money, everything else is credit. 1912. 1913 is when the Federal Reserve Act was established. So what's next? It's time for you to make ready. It's time for you to get ready. Time for you to prepare. In the 2007-2008 crisis, many people lost their homes. I don't know if, for those who are old enough, they'll remember the tent cities. Families of 4 having to live out of their car. Jobs were lost. Pensions were lost. If you're not preparing for this, it's going to be much worse this time. A storm is coming. We're seeing it, right? We're seeing it right now. We're on the edge of the storm. And, you know, the edge of the storm, you get a little wet, you get a little wind, and you might get a little banged up. But once the storm really moves in on you, that's when it happens. And it happens so quickly that if you did not prepare, it's going to be a disastrous for you. And just think about that, because today with the COVID-19 virus and all the rules that are being put in place, right, to protect people, businesses have been closed down by the government, not because they weren't making enough money to stay afloat, to stay profitable. The government closed them down. Many of these small businesses that have been closed, guess what? They're not going to reopen. Jobs have been permanently lost. The storm hasn't even hit yet. This is a warm-up. It all starts with gold. Yes, it does. It starts with gold. Ralph Waldo Emerson. The desire of gold is not for gold. It's for the means of freedom and the benefit. So we don't, people, and we don't want to gather. It's not the gold, right? The pirates didn't want to hoard all these gold coins just because they wanted gold. They wanted all that gold because that was freedom. That gave them the freedom of choice. They could use the gold, they could leverage the gold to do as they wanted. It's no different for us. If you learn how to accumulate gold, if you learn how to exchange this to this, trade this for this, and you do it long enough, often enough, guess what? Your gold, you're going to benefit from your gold because it's going to give you freedom. That's the benefit of accumulating gold. It's going to create financial choice, financial freedom. It's going to protect your financial future. This is about your freedom. Earlier I said it's about your money. Ultimately, though, let's be real. It's about your freedom, your financial freedom, your future freedom, right? Your freedom to choose your time and how you live, where you live, what you do, the quality of your life. Are you ready to do what it takes? And really, look, it's not, nobody's saying this is easy. If you don't have the habit of putting money aside, if you have more month than you do money, it's going to feel near impossible. But guess what? If you run out of money and you still have like 5 days left in the month or 7 days left in the month, today, 5 years from now, you're going to run out of money even sooner. It won't be running out of money and then 7 days and you know how to make it that 7 days. You'll be running out of money in the middle of the month and you'll have 2 more weeks to survive. If you don't start doing things today, exchanging this for this, accumulating this, right? Exchange this, turn this into this. If you don't start doing that today, it's only going to be worse tomorrow. And so, are you ready to do what it takes? It's simple to do, but it's not always easy to do. Don't let this be your future. Don't let this happen to you, to your family. Change the course of your financial life today. Protect your money, protect yourself, protect your family, your freedom. It's not too late. It's never too late. The storm is here, though. We're on the edge of the storm. So for this storm, time is running out. You still have a chance to get prepared, to get ready. Learn how to protect your freedom. Text the word FAKE, F-A-K-E, to 405-293-8388. Again, text the word FAKE, F-A-K-E, 405-293-8388. And I will get back with you. Now, sometimes, if you want to make absolutely sure that I get a hold of you, include your email address. I do have times, maybe 5% of the time, where a text message, I try to send it back and it's rejected. I don't know why. It just happens. I can't send it. So if you want to make absolutely sure that I get a hold of you, include your email address. I'm not going to spam you. I have no interest in that. I don't want to maintain or grow some big email list like so many of these online marketers do. That's not why I'm here sharing with you and educating you on finance and money. That's not what's driving me. First of all is the information. I want to make sure you understand what you're up against. And secondly, if you are looking for somebody to help you get there, right? To help you make that change, I want to help you do that. Because I know how to do that. I'm doing that. So again, text the word FAKE, F-A-K-E, to 405-293-8388. Okay, this is James Possible. Thank you. Wow, I know it's over an hour, but hey, this is an hour that can change your life, your financial life forever. And now is the best time to commit that hour. Because why? We're stuck at home. Use this time to your benefit. Again, James Possible, thank you for being here. You know what to do. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.